From now on, we'll manage the house ourselves. You need to find another place to live. My brother and his wife, with my mother's support, want me out, treating me like an obstacle. Do they realize I've been covering the living expenses? It's surprising they'd be so disrespectful. In my head, I decided to take action. I'm Carrie, a 30-year-old woman living with my parents. After college, I tried to make it in the outside world, but found it tough. Initially, I searched for jobs while receiving unemployment benefits. Later, I discovered remote work and became a freelance engineer using my scientific skills. Starting with small projects, I earned a modest income but gained valuable experience. Working from home allowed me to make enough money without much social interaction, boosting my confidence. I progressed steadily, taking on larger projects, and my income grew. After a year, I was earning as much as a regular company employee. The issue was that my parents, especially my old-fashioned mother, struggled to understand my work from home setup. Despite my detailed explanations, my father understood, but my mother feared what she didn't understand. No matter how often I emphasized my commitment, she would ask, "How long will you stay home?" I thought it was for your mental health, but it's been over 2 years. You should try working outside. Despite my sincere explanations, she didn't quite grasp it. She often questioned my work, saying, "You're just doing something online." Even with client emails and salary statements, she wouldn't accept my lifestyle. She even went so far as to suggest, "Isn't it some shady business or a weird religion?" I explained that it was a reliable job with regular payments, but she wouldn't budge, worrying endlessly about the possibility of me living on unemployment benefits. At one point, I considered living on my own, but I hadn't saved enough money yet. Around that time, my father needed nursing care due to deteriorating health. He retired early, facing a sudden loss of income. When I expressed concern, he reassured me, "Oh, Carrie, I've got my pension. I'll make it work." Considering my mother's spending habits, I asked, "Are you sure you can handle it?" Regardless, we had to manage with our savings. My father looked tired, perhaps anxious about the future. He had supported me through college, and even when I returned home for mental health reasons. Was it wise to leave him alone? My mother was puzzled by my father's condition, and wanting to give back, I decided to stay home and support the family. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll take care of things from now on." My surprised father questioned, "Really? I can't imagine you have that much income." To reassure him, I showed him my bank account information. Since my father always understood my situation, I believed he would be convinced. "Carrie, I didn't know you were doing so well." He said, "Yes, my income has improved lately. Can you help us out a little?" "Of course," I replied. "You've done so much for us, so I'll support you from now on." Grateful, he said, "Thank you, Carrie." This commitment led me to cover living expenses, my father's medical bills, and other costs. Every month, I transferred a set amount to my father's bank account to assist with household expenses. I created a new card for my mother and gave her a supplementary card, as she'd been using my father's credit card. Both my father and I saved money whenever possible, urging my mother to do the same. However, my mother remained suspicious and suggested kicking me out. My father, recognizing my financial contribution, convinced her it would be harder without me. Reluctantly, she agreed to let me stay. I continued working and helping at home, but my mother took my assistance for granted and became strict. "Can't you finish your chores faster?" she would demand. "Sorry, it's not easy. I'm working at the same time," I replied. "You keep saying that, but is it really that difficult?" She snapped, not understanding the balance I had to maintain. Our relationship grew strained, although my father appreciated my efforts. We lived this way for a year until he fell ill and was hospitalized. I visited him daily. Hey, Dad, how are you today? Thank you, Carrie. It doesn't seem to be improving, but I hope it's not too much of a burden for you. Don't think that way. Taking care of you wasn't a burden, I reassured him, though he knew the strain with my mother was difficult for me. After my father's hospitalization, my relationship with my mother worsened, and living with her became suffocating. I still wanted to support both of my parents, cherishing memories of my mother making my lunchbox and dinners when I was a student. However, my perspective shifted when my brother, Kevin, and his wife, Mary, unexpectedly arrived. My mother seemed to have invited them without informing me. My brother announced, "We're going to live here now." Shocked, I asked, "Why?" He explained, "Mom was worried. She thought it might be tough for you to live here alone while Dad's not around." Surprised, I turned to my mother, but she avoided my gaze. My brother added, "We'll support you, Carrie," though his wife, with a smirk, hinted at something more. My mother stated, "Thanks to both of you. Carrie, be prepared to contribute. Otherwise, it might be hard for you to stay in this house." This unexpected shift in the household dynamics took me by surprise. Despite my financial commitment and work ethic, my brother, with a degree from a prestigious college and a solid job, was stepping in to take charge. I wondered if they could manage without me, but a new chapter had clearly begun. Living with them proved more challenging than anticipated. One morning, my brother's wife banged on my door, shouting, "Carrie, why aren't you up yet? Wake up and make breakfast." "I'm already up." "I'm working early," I replied, already deep in my morning work routine. As a morning person, this was my most focused time of the day, and I wanted to spend it without any disturbances. Really? Then get on with it and get breakfast ready. Do I have to make everything by myself? My brother's wife demanded, her tone sharp. Our family usually had relaxed mornings, eating when and what we wanted. With my mother and brother's wife now at home, I assumed breakfast was her responsibility. But she insisted, "We're living together, so we need to cooperate, right?" Reluctantly, I helped prepare breakfast, thinking it was a decent meal. Soft scrambled eggs, a lettuce salad, buttered toast, and a sausage. However, they were not satisfied. "Is this all you made?" "This isn't enough," they complained. Did I miss something? "If you don't want it, you don't have to eat it," I replied, slightly irritated. They looked taken aback. "What's with that attitude? Who do you think you are? This is unacceptable. You should help with the housework." "But I have work to do too," I countered. "Work? Really? I can't believe it. What kind of work is that? Are you crazy?" My brother and his wife questioned and scolded me, clearly dismissing my job. Influenced by my mother, my brother tended to look down on me, making fun of my work. But my work time was precious, so I went to my room, packed my laptop, and left the house. "Wait, where are you going?" My brother called after me, but I ignored him and headed straight to my father's hospital room. He looked surprised when I entered. "Carrie, what's wrong?" "You seem flustered," he said, concerned. I explained the situation, and he listened, looking dismayed. "I didn't know they were. I'm sorry, Carrie. Don't worry about it. You can choose your own way of life." Feeling lost, I reflected on my father's words. You don't need to stay where you're not comfortable. I want you to live happily, so live your life the way you want to. Thank you, Father. Encouraged by his support, I decided to leave home. When I returned that evening, a tense scene awaited me. My mother, brother, and sister-in-law looked serious. "Where were you?" My brother demanded. "I had to take the day off because of you." Surprised, I thought to myself how easily he'd taken time off work. How could you take a day off for such a reason? I asked. My brother and his wife grew more heated. Get out of here, he declared. Why? I asked, confused. Carrie, from now on, the three of us will live together. If you don't want to stay, please leave. We don't need your overbearing presence to support us, he said coldly. That's enough. You don't need to be here now that your father is gone, my mother added, echoing my brother and his wife's sentiments, treating me as a hindrance. I felt a surge of anger. Did she even understand my financial contributions to the family? With her monthly purchases of branded goods, what would she do when her allowance was cut off? After repeatedly trying to explain myself, only to be ignored, I decided it was time to take action. First, I transferred the money from the bank account linked to my mother's credit card to a separate account under my control. This would be a surprise when she found herself unable to use the card. Then I moved funds from my father's account, which had been supporting the family's finances, to ensure only his medical expenses would be covered from it. With these changes, most of the financial burden would now rest on my brother and his wife. I didn't know the specifics of my brother's income, but I was sure he'd feel the strain more than ever. After completing these formalities, I packed my belongings and declared, I'm leaving. My mother, brother, and sister-in-law looked stunned. Despite their constant harassment, they hadn't expected me to actually leave. Judging by their expressions, they seemed almost pleased. You're finally leaving. I've never seen such a troublesome person. You won't be coming back, right? Of course not. Don't contact me, I replied as they smiled triumphantly. But I wondered how they'd feel after I left. Internally, I smiled, embracing the start of a new life. My new home was peaceful, allowing me to savor my own time and concentrate on work. One day, I received an unexpected call from my brother. I picked up, though I clearly told them not to contact me. What's wrong? I asked, noticing the surprise and urgency in his voice. Why didn't you tell me? We had no idea, he stammered. Well, I did mention several times that I was working, but neither you nor Mom believed me right. I replied, calmly reminding him. That's well, Mom said a lot of things, and I was a little confused. That's not my fault, right? Right. No, it's not that, but I'm having a problem with money. Mom's been spending quite a bit, and on top of that, we haven't been able to pay for the house utilities and other stuff. Yes, I was able to manage because I was supporting you in so many ways. But I'm not home anymore, so now you have to handle it, Carrie. I need your help to transfer some money to my bank account. Please, I beg you, could you transfer some money over? You must be joking. You're working for a big company, right? Isn't that how you make a living? Well, actually, I got fired from that company. What? Why? I made a big mistake. Was that before you moved back to our parents' house? My brother's reply left me speechless. I guessed correctly. My brother may have moved back to our parents' house, assuming there was enough money there. He probably thought he could get by with a solid pension coming in after our father retired. I wanted my brother to understand that I played a significant role in supporting the family finances, even though I appeared idle. The thought of the surprise on his face when he discovered that I was the one maintaining the household finances brought a certain amusement. This same revelation awaited my brother's wife and my mother. My brother's wife implored, "We need your help. We're running out of savings." My mother echoed, "Your father is really upset about this. He won't contribute to the household finances anymore. We're in a tough situation. I've supported you all enough. You're all healthy, so work hard and support yourselves. I'll cheer you on." A frightened voice came through the phone. "Please, Carrie, wait a minute." "Reflect on your actions," I replied. "I'm hanging up now. Don't contact me." After that, I distanced myself from my brother, his wife, and my mother. My father, feeling unable to continue life with my mother, sought legal advice and moved to a different place. Fortunately, I could visit him daily. A friend later updated me on my brother's recent situation. He had moved to a small apartment, living a frugal life. My mother, accustomed to homemaking, struggled with her newfound job. My brother, once confident from his college education, found it challenging to adapt to younger staff's opinions in his part-time job, leading to short-lived employment. Among them, my brother's wife became the sole provider, working diligently to support the family. However, the pressure became too much, and she eventually departed. Now my brother and mother reportedly work hard together. But despite their efforts, my mother's tendency to overspend persists, and her debts continue to mount. I am concerned for her, but unfortunately, I can no longer offer assistance. Currently, I am putting in a lot of effort to maintain a comfortable living space. My income is gradually increasing, and I'm contemplating trying something new. I aspire to visit my father daily, spending more time with him and witnessing his cheerful smile.